I think that's when things started changing for me, is when I started taking far more accountability for my own shit. That was when it started to shift.
Knives Out, I mean.
Did you see it?
I saw it. It was so complex. I really had to concentrate. But it had everything. Plot twists, which we can't talk about. Mm-hmm. It had murder, it had intrigue, it had stunning outfits. You were fantabulous in it. I loved it. And it is really layered like an onion, isn't it? How much are you layered like an onion in real life? Are you like an onion of a character? Like what layer of you would be the most surprising?
I've had to discover, I'm still peeling back those layers, you know? I mean, I think we all are. I think
Every day.
I think when we choose not to be, that's like problematic. You know, we all have to figure out what's at the core of our own little onion. Mm-hmm. So I would say yes. I would say I've had a lot of things in my life that I've had to look at and go deeper on and about, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this podcast is all about finding your power.
It is.
And finding that true sense of yourself.
Yeah, well, that happens with a lot of work. And honesty. Like, you have to be honest with yourself. I think that's when things started changing for me, is when I started taking far more accountability for my own shit. That was when it started to shift, you know? Because that's where I think when you find your power, when you realize how imperfect we all are, when you're like, okay with that. It's very liberating.
When do you think you got to that moment for you?
After my second failed baby daddy relationship. That moment for me was like, okay, now I have to figure this out. You know, that was really hard for me because I didn't want that to end. But I was like, oh, this is an issue. I need to figure out what this is in my life this pattern I keep repeating, and take accountability for it. That was the biggest change for me in my life. Also, constantly discovering new things to take accountability for. I think the issue is when people blame everybody else for like any challenges or hardships.
1,000%.
I mean, that's not a good sign.
No.
You know what I mean? I don't want to be friends with that person.
No.
You know, the finger pointer is not my favorite. I'm always like, what am I doing? You know, I grew up with my mom saying, you know, if you point one finger out, there's always 3 pointed back at you.
That's a great line.
Oh, yeah. And that's right. That was my grandmother. That's my grandmother's line. And my mom would say that to us. And every time we'd come home from school and there'd be a drama or an issue, she'd be like, you can point that finger out, but what are those 3 things that you're bringing to the table? So even when it was really annoying to like have to go there, we were always kind of forced to go there when we were younger. And so I always live by that. It's like the second something's not right, I look inward. Like, what am I doing?
But it's one of the hardest things to do. I think facing yourself in the mirror is one of the most difficult things I've ever had to do, when I've literally like, babes, this is...
I know.
This behavioural pattern is not servicing you anymore, and you need to take a look at yourself and find another little bit of self-love for yourself as well. Because that's so part of that journey too, isn't it? Is finding a sense of love for yourself. Because that is a difficult journey to go on, isn't it?
And it's hard, and I think everyone has... Look, we know so much about our brain now, right? And we are predisposed. We're fight or flight creature. You know, we're way more... prone to be fear-driven, to be negative thinkers. That's actually the opposite. Like, it's harder for us to have a more optimistic outlook and brain. It's harder for us to be fearless. And so it's like reprogramming the brain to actually find out how to like open that up and realize that we don't have to be ruled by those things, you know? And that's not an easy thing to do. A quote that I always love is contentment is a discipline. And like, in order to really find peace, inner peace, or happiness, which I think that is inner peace, or feeling like liberated from whatever constraints you have, I feel like you have to, it's a discipline. Like, you actually have to work at doing that. And it's a lot easier for people to distract themselves with someone else being at fault, distract themselves with other dramas in other people's lives, distract themselves with celebrity fodder and, you know, gossip, instead of actually looking at like their own happiness.
I mean, contentment is the ultimate success in a way, isn't it? And you've had the most amazing career. I mean, babes, you are the definition of iconic for me. Like, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, tick. Knives Out, tick. Bribe Wars, tick. I mean, the IMBD is off the charts. And you've achieved...
I've had fun.
You've
I've
had
had
fun.
a lot of fun movies, yeah. There's also a lot of things I still want to do. Like, I was in 9, which was so much fun.
I
with Rob
love that
Marshall.
movie.
But I'd also really love to do like a full-on musical. I still haven't done a full-on where I'm like in it and all the time and, you know.
Yeah.
I'd love to do that.
Oh my God,
That's
can we
a bucket
manifest
list.
this?
Yeah, we just did.
Yeah, let's just
just
pop it
did.
on that board. Next year it's going to come your way.
Yeah, I hope so.
You're all friends. Why would anyone commit murder?
Are we even going to talk about the elephant in the room?
Am I the elephant?
Yeah, you're the elephant.
You're not that bad.
When people see success, they always see the outward level of the success. And they see, you know, the Golden Globe win. They see the Oscar nomination. How long does that success last for tangibly within?
This industry is a really good way of making that not last very long. I mean, we are a brutal industry, you know, which is kind of why I love it. It's like, it's not an easy world to be in, and internally. It humbles you very quickly. And I think because I knew that going into it, like before, when I was young, I was so prepared for that aspect of it. That it never really that I was always way more focused on the work than like any kind of, like I was really careful not to get sucked into, you know, like that whole awards cycle for me felt more like a dream than it did anything that I really truly like believed in my, you know, like, yes, yeah, that never existed in me. It was like, wow, this is so wonderful. And then it was over, and then I kept working, and that's just what you know. You just keep going. I also think that it's one thing to get into the business because you want to be famous, but I grew up with my parents were so famous that I actually had a very different feeling to it. Like I didn't like it. I didn't like the attention that was taken from our family at times, and I didn't like the interruption and. I didn't like how people would, you know, kiss their butts, and I knew it was so fake. Or you could see like us, we would laugh, like we would know the people that would come in and like wouldn't even say hello to us kids. You know, we're just so focused on our parents, and it was sort of like, oh, that's what that is. And it was never anything that. It was never the thing that made me want to be an actor. Like the thing that actually made me want to be an actor was the performance aspect of it. You know, I really love doing it. And I love playing like off the wall characters, and since I was a little girl. And I knew that there was either there was a chance that I'd be able to do it for the rest of my life, or there wasn't going to be that chance. And the fact that I got the opportunity to actually do this forever. I'm so, thank God.
I think it is interesting that we got to this point in the entertainment business where we are talking about the representation of women more.
Right.
And also changing the kind of conversations we're having around that.
Right.
Because I think we've got to this point where, you know, we can have conversations about it, but there's still so much room to go in terms of representation of women on screen.
Oh, yeah.
What still frustrates you about the kind of conversations we're still having to have about the representation of women on screen?
Well, I think the frustrating thing is that, you know, when I have these conversations, I'm always like, I never want them to come across as feeling like bitter in any sense, because, you know, I look at everything as like, all right, great, we got there, and now we keep going, right? The reality is that the frustrating thing is that I think the dialogue is there, but I'm not so sure the implementation is really like as active as it should be. I think it's getting better. But I'm still like internally, like there's a lot of things that happen that you're like, no, you really shouldn't do that, you know? And people know they're trying to, you know, a lot of people are trying to figure out how to navigate it. And at the end of the day, like anything, like when anything's systemic, like whether it be racism or misogyny, it's a really hard thing to unlearn. And you see it all the time. And so my hope is that the dialogue just continues. I love that you can call people out on it more without it being like something that you're afraid you'll lose a job. That you can actually have a real honest conversation with someone like, that didn't feel right, you know, and but I still think we have a ways to go with this. We'll get there. I was writing about my mom and her birthday the other day, and thinking about her and her time, and she was one of the first, if not the first, actress to produce her own films, female, whereas men had been doing it, women had not been, and she came out and started producing it, and it was, she had to beat doors down and, you know, deal with being considered unlikable and all. And she's very open, talks about this lot. You know, someone like my mom, who's actually like the best, you know, but in order to get the things that she knew that when she was uncompromising about her work or about the movies that she wanted, you know, it didn't sit well with a lot of people. To be sort of confronted by a female producer, actress producer. And she like really led the way for a lot of us in that way. And it takes a lot of guts and courage, and it's not fun. So the women that have that ability to sort of, those real trailblazers that kind of take that on and just do it, it's really courageous. So I feel like along the way we've had people like that, like my mother, like Meryl, and being just, you know, fighting the good fight. And so it makes it a little bit easier for our generation. But still just trucking along.
We always end on this final question.
Okay.
That always is, in the reign of your life,
Okay.
what is the one rule you always live by? What is that rule for you?
I have a couple of them, but the one rule for me to live by is, you know, we only live once. And if we're not enjoying it, then we're kind of wasting it. So don't take yourself too seriously. Like, take your work seriously, like work hard. It feels good to do that, but like don't take yourself too seriously. Have fun.
And put up those trees in every single room.
and also like don't ever forget the power of a smile. Like, a smile can change someone's whole world in one day. You sometimes realize when you see someone with great energy and great smile and they're connecting to you, that they just literally change your day. And you can really change someone's life by being nice to them, you know? And by sharing that smile, it's not to be underestimated. I think that's the great power in our life. So, yeah, always share a smile, for sure.
I love that. Well, you brought me a lot of joy today. A lot of words of wisdom.
Yes.
And I'm ready to go face the rest of the day
This
now,
is so
babes.
fun.
Thank you so much.
I love talking to you.
Love talking to you.